Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Hello, hello. Oh, oh. Hi, NS something. You guys hear okay on this? Oh, good. All right. I had it set up. Hi, Mason. Um, anyway, hey, Patrick, Rich buddy. So, today, uh, what I did before hey, Zeus, before I got started here, I put up, okay. I put up, I have this table I made of the different movements that were in the IWC watches, and I put them up on the High Horology Lounge Facebook page. So if you want to see it, that's where it is. Hey, Javier, how's it going? Um, so that's what I sort of wanted to talk about. I didn't want to talk about, and I certainly didn't want to pick on IWC. Hi, Tom Muss. I don't. Some people like their whole name. Uh, so anyway, I just wanted to get some feedback from you guys and kick some things around. Um, hey, Pradeep, uh, and the oh, by the way, too, I never remember to do this. There's, I guess everyone has a wristwatch check, and I never do because I forget. I've got on my Beauvais 1930 Fleurier. So anyway, so, hey Deacon, how's it going? So the issue of having movements by ETA or Salida or Seiko or you name it, other than the one of the manufacturer. Sometimes it's not a problem. I mean, in fact, I was looking at some of the ones that they had in the IWC watches, and they had a Jaja Lecoultre, and they had a what else did they have in there that was Piaget that looked pretty good. But the thing is that the more I looked at their movements, they got some. To me, they look like some really good movements, but they were in the a very small percentage of their watches. And so, if we, which I don't think they're ever going to give us, but if we had a record of the percent of watches that were sold with hey sushi with ETA or Salida versus the ones that were in house, they overwhelmingly would be the less expensive ones that they make with ETA and Salida. Right? Just, I mean, if you look at the numbering system they have, and then interpret that into what we'll call real um, movements. They should absolutely be completely transparent about the movement. Yeah. Now this is sort of my position, and the reason for it is that why wouldn't they be? Uh, some people say, "Oh, well, ETAs are pretty good movements," and I would agree. Yeah, yeah, they're pretty good. Uh, and even companies that use them without naming them say, "Oh, yeah, those are pretty good." Well, if they're so good, why don't they simply say, "Here they are"? I mean, you know. Now this the same goes for Tag Heuer, for Breitling, you name it. There's Cartier. Try to think who else. Now Panerai apparently cut it out. Panerai now has, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, not on the used market, not on the pre-owned market, but um on the regular new ones. If you go to their site, I think all of them are now in-house. Okay. Um, so I was looking at them, and I think there's one that's called the OP 6000, something like that. Have you seen the if you look at that movement, there's this great big plate over the thing, and you can't see very much of it. Um, so I thought, well, okay, God knows what's in there, sort of the troll under the bridge or something. Uh, I would also add that they should include specific details such as lift angle, et cetera, so we can get an accurate results when we put it on the time grapher. That is a great idea. You have the kinds of stuff you have to do to find a lift angle. If you go to this is what's so ironic about that. If you go to the ETA site, they have all of that information about their movements, and that I really like that. I appreciate it, as a matter of fact. And so when I buy a cheap one from Siegel that I make a watch with, uh, then I can look up all of the time grapher information. Okay. Mason one. Some manufacturers do take those third-party IBOSHs apart and completely rework them to their own standards. I bet they do. So I'd like to. All they got to do is just tell me what they do. I'd be really interested. How come they don't do that? They can say, well, we start with ETA, IBOSH, and then we do thus and so to it. I mean, if you take, for example, Omega. They have a lot of ETAs in theirs and Solitas and so forth. Okay, but they put a coaxial escapement on them. All right, now that's really something. All right, all they got to do is just say, hey, this is what's in our watches. This one I like to probably. Whoops, let me see if I can get it. Yeah. Now, what you can see in that one is that you've got this little dinky, skinny trigonal bridge, but then you can see everything else in it. I mean, you talk about transparency. These guys are transparent, but why wouldn't they be? Because they've got nothing to hide. And, that's sort of the epitome of transparency, is not only telling you what's there, but you can look at it in the exhibition window and you can see it, and as that I like. Now I'm trying to think some of the I think it was Christopher Ward. Yeah, pop those things on the back and you can see exactly what's in there, and a lot of other things that they have. Okay, hey Roberto, how's it going? You should call their movements by their original calibers. They can say, okay, we have a caliber XY25. Okay, and our XY25, we started with an ETA 6498, and we moved the hour hand to the top. We added a silicon hairspring to it. We did X, Y, and Z. Okay, and that was our base movement. That's all. I mean, it's like, what's so hard about that? Or beginning with the IBOSH. Now remember, the IBOSH is, well, there's really a range of things that are considered to be included in an IBOSH. Originally it meant, I think, just the plates. You'd get the plates for the movements, and then you'd get the gears. You'd get the gear train, but you wouldn't get the escapement. But then later on, they included that. So anyway, okay. This is not the 1960s where you'd have to publish a huge manual. When there's something, you really you guys really take a look. Go to, I think it's eta.ch. This is the Swiss ETA site, and then download one of their PDF files. It's like 2 pages. They got the whole thing outlined. You can see the entire movement, and then they have all of the information you need about the angle, what is it called, the lift angle, what are they called? Everything, all of the information. One of the things that I'd like to see the dimensions of the balance. I like big balance wheels because they're really steady. Hi, Alex. And the that would be another thing that would be neat to see too. I mean, the more information we have, the better our decisions can be. And I think I've said on several occasions that I like the lower frequency ones, the ones that are about 2.5 hertz, and they have those. You can have those in an ETA. For example, the ETA 6498 and 97-1 are all 2.5 hertz. The ones that are dash 2 are 3 hertz. It's still under 4 hertz, rather than putting in a little balance and stressing it out, which is what most of them do, including some really good ones. One of my favorite watches is my Vacheron Constantin 10. What's it called? Historiques Americain 1921. It's a beautiful watch. It had brand new movement in it, the 4400. It's a manual wind, another one of my favorites, but they've got this 4 hertz little bitty balance wheel in there, screaming away on the thing. And why did they do that for? Have something that's a little more elegant. Okay, so what's up with you guys? Okay, see, if you see a 10K watch, you could even ship it with a $1 flash drive. You're right. NS something. It's funny that you mentioned that, because that was exactly what Vacheron Constantin did when they shipped me my 1921. It came with a flash drive with all of that information. The kind of information people like me need now. Maybe if you're an honest to God watchmaker and not belong to the brave few of us who consider ourselves pretentious watchmakers, you could have a big encyclopedia. But what you need are the things that who was it that mentioned that? Yeah, somebody else mentioned that too. I think it was hang on a second. Who just was that? Javier. Yeah, that was Javier. Javier had mentioned that you need that information. You can get it online with a PDF file. You don't even need a flash drive anymore. And flash drives, you can, like you say, though, they're pretty cheap, and the kinds of manuals you get these days are next to nothing. Okay. Yeah. All right. So what are some other thoughts about that? Let me give you a couple legal terms. See, don't you think, hey, Patrick, don't you think that movement specs would be sought out by people like us? Is there really a need for greater transparency, as we would all seek it before buying it anyway? Yeah, let the suckers, they have it coming. No. There's something about, you'd be surprised how hard it is. This is one of the things of getting good information. You can get it from some sources, and other sources you can't. Companies that either online or paper magazines that rely on advertising income have to be very careful what they can say, because if you go on there and every time you talk about a watch, you sort of expose it or make it look like an expose, there can be a problem. Now, the interesting thing about that, though, if you read an article, let's say in Hodinkey, and you're reading away on it, and you look at the movement, and the movement has a base of an ETA, this or that, or a Sellita, they say that, but they do it in such a way that basically says, yeah, this is sort of like a normal thing. There's no reason that the watch companies couldn't put that information in there too. Hodinkey, some of the other ones, though, they don't want to mention it. Either either the person writing the article doesn't know or hasn't read the Hotkey article yet. I know some watchmakers who really get upset with Hotkey because they don't know as much as they do, but that's another story. Okay, hi Luca. Okay, let's see what we got here. Companies usually have nothing to hide, and that's something you're right. If you look at your really good watchmakers, take a look, for example, if you go to the FP Journe site, they give you all of the information. Then they give you a, sort of a breakaway view of their the different movements that they have. Yeah, you're right. You know, now there was a very, very distinguished attorney that told me that there's you have to be careful about the terms you use. On the one hand, I use the term fraud, and I said you gotta be careful using fraud. You should use the word deception. And this distinguished attorney is, I believed him. Also, Clyde told me the same thing, so I'm on pretty solid ground. Anyway, I couldn't help myself, Clyde. The the whole process, though, of this is what I wanted to bring up next, is that the whole issue of consumer fraud. If you go and buy something and it's not what it says that it is, you can be in real trouble. I mean, if you have your company says, okay, we have this in here and we have this in this product, and it's not there, or they have something else, they can call you on that. Now, the big problem with that I've seen in terms of consumer fraud, it's not enforced. I mean, if you have a law in the books and nobody enforces it, it's not a law. Um, you should be very careful when you use that word. Limit it to this. Okay, I got to be careful. All right. Oh, they took your message away, Clyde. Oh, you had it there long enough that I got to see it. All right. Well, anyway, yeah, using terms like fraud and consumer fraud and so forth, if you're not saying something is there or isn't there, then that can be deception, but it's not fraud. For example, if a company says that our stuff is in-house from all the way through, uh, and it's not, then that's more than just deception. On the other hand, if they use these phony baloney reference numbers, then it's not considered fraud. You have like, who is it? Panerai I don't know, I guess they still do, but they would have OP this and OP that. And the movement itself was God knows what. Maybe that would be a name for a movement. I'm gonna make a movement and call it GWW, God knows what, or GKW, God knows what. All right, manufacture caliber. Yeah, manufacture caliber though is that's Maison. That's like saying in-house. Okay, that means that we made it. Gene Ginault. Tell me about Ginault, Gene. Anyway, you can say misleading, but that would be too nice. Well, another way you can say it is what they should be saying. Yeah, we're going to talk about Breitling later, not today, but I have an upcoming one on Breitling. What I found, one of the most interesting things with Breitling and Tudor had a double swap. Tudor used what's it called? I guess it's called the BO1. That's a great name for a movement. This is our BO1, and then they gave them one of theirs, and it's I forgot what B number that, maybe it's called BO2, but one is a Tudor developed, and the other one is a Breitling developed. They swapped them, and then they gave them their own names, which I thought was sort of funny. Gene Martin, deception. They don't really say what is in-house and what isn't. Well, this hi Paul, how um Gene, I think this is what this distinguished lawyer was telling me, that if you don't, deception is one thing. Yeah, that would be deception in the sense that it's misleading, or you think that there's more in there than really is. Uh, you take, for example, Christopher Ward. I've come to really like Christopher Ward, not because they make the best movements in the world. Their in-house movements I think are quite good from what I've seen. But the thing I like about them, they say, okay, these are made by uh, ETA, these are made by Solida, these are made by us, and so you know what you're getting. That to me is the most important thing. And so if I buy something from Christopher Ward and it's got CWXYZ, I know it's a manufactured Christopher Ward. If it says Christopher Ward used this as a base, an ETA 7750, then I know it's that. And it doesn't bother me a bit. Here's the interesting thing that IWC does. If you look at the ones that use the ETAs and Solida, they're cheaper than the ones that they have as actual in-house. And so that's another interesting thing. Now, when I say cheaper, I don't mean a lot cheaper. I don't mean the kind of cheaper that you get, not cheaper, but inexpensive. Because you've got an ETA, let's say my favorite, 6498. You got a 6498 ETA in there, -1, my very favorite. And it's an ETA 6498. Now, if they say, okay, well, we have an ETA 6498 in here, and we put in a silicon hairspring, we fix it up. All right, that's a little different. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Most of the time, price says it all in terms of in-house movements. Below 6K in-house is a red flag. Yeah, but Luca, generally you're right. But this is why I mentioned Christopher Ward. You go to Christopher Ward, and you can see some that are below 6,000, and the ones that are below 6,000 are, some of them are in house, some of them aren't, and you can tell. You can very very easily tell. I think the thing that really makes it difficult is when you start throwing in noble metals. I mean, you have something made of gold, and suddenly the price shoots through the roof. And so is that but I've seen them use cheap movements in beautiful gold. I had my El Lara. God, what a beautiful piece of watchmaking that was, until you got to the movement, which was a little bitty ETA 7001, which was really based on the Pazu 7001. But it was little bitty. You got this big old case, you got a little bitty movement in it. Turns out it was a great movement. It's very thin, and it's a very good movement. But it was set up, and I think they call it the El Lara 1015 or something like that. I called them in Switzerland. I asked them, I said, what is the movement in there? And they sent me a blurry picture of a Frederick Piguet. I mean, it was so blurry you couldn't even tell what it was. And so I asked them what was the movement on it, and they couldn't tell me. They could, but they weren't about to. And I but here was this big hunk of gold that I got with it. That's another story. But it's not so much the fact that there is an ETA or a Solida. It's the fact that they won't tell you. When I got my Christian Vanderklaw, now that's got a Soprod in it, Soprod A10. And a Soprod A10 turned out to be a really good movement, much to my surprise. I just thought it was an ETA clone. It turns out to be Seiko's attempt to get into the high end. And so they put together this fancy movement, but it had the dimensions of some popular ETA, because so that it would fit all of these cases. And so it's that was sort of a fun surprise. And why on earth companies like I think there was this one in Iceland I really like, JS somebody. They used to use them, but they didn't say that, and I wish they had. On the other hand, when I talked to the guy at Christian Vanderklaw, I says, I understand this has got a Soprod 810, and I say, yeah, that's what we got in there. And then we have this movement made by Christian Vanderklaw, and that's what I got the watch for, was this great movement that was on top of it all, which was made by Christian Vanderklaw. Okay, when they upgrade ETA movement, it's like putting lipstick on a pig. Oh, Deacon. Well, actually, I wouldn't say that. that's, that's funny. Okay, the funniest thing, in my opinion, is the 2824 is incredibly good movement for the price. It's like a Chevy 350. Okay. Um, yeah, listen, this is the thing. There are a lot of good ETAs out there. There really are. And the the it's not that they use them, it's they don't tell us that they use them. Jerome Desmarcel, did I say that right, Jerome? See, the main question is why some manufacturers use ETA and overcharge for it. That is what bothers me more than anything else, is that you go in, I mean, these watches cost us a lot of money. If somebody says, oh, that thing was only $5,000. $5,000 is a lot of money. $1,000 is a lot of money. So, don't kid yourself. All right. Okay. Tudor's also below 6K. Yeah, Tudor. I like Tudor. Tudor's got some. I think some of their designs are a little goofy, but I still like them. Let's see. The 2824 is a Chevy 350. Okay, you guys got that worked out. You're cranking away, beating away at 4 hertz. It runs out of, blows up after 2,000 miles. Uh, it was okay. Well, let me ask you this: what, if anything, can we do about this? I mean, like, saying, look, you know, I wish you guys would start telling us the truth. Um, God knows I've made enough noise about it, but is there anything else you think that could be done? And say, look, we understand that it costs a lot to make movements and so forth. But on the other hand, if you're going to use inexpensive movement, tell us about it. You can, and if you fix it up, tell us about that. Okay, like Baum at Mercier that charged me $3,000 cash for 2824 really hurt me. Yeah, Alex, that's exactly the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Now, here's what this is another kind of thing that's going on, and I'm glad you brought up. And I don't know if I'm saying this right, but Baum and Mercier, what they have done, they've come out with their first in-house movement that was built at Val Fleurier. And Val Fleurier is a movement company that was developed by Richemont, which is sort of a big holding company that owns all of these different movements. Okay, I think for IWC, it's because they want to address another lower end market. Some people want a notorious brand, but at a cheaper price point. Jerome, that's fine. To me, that what happens if they don't tell the truth about it, it cheapens it. I wouldn't buy an IWC. Someone says, "Oh, it's really good." Why? If a company is going to try to pass off something as something more than this, why should I trust them for anything? When they say it's in-house, okay, that doesn't mean anything. Maybe they're not very good in-house builds. And you have all of the good people who are there left anyway. Richard Harbring went and started his own company, and ends up winning all of the. I think they probably have as many, if not more, Grand Prix awards as IWC has. So, who's left? Who else worked for them? There were some people who left some of the best companies and went out on their own. And you know, what did they do? Just take the stuff they made and went with it. Okay, Clarissa. What about Clarissa for me? When I was ill informed, Alex. What's Alex talking about? Still feel it after 9 years. Alex, I'm the same way. One of the reasons I traded my El Larai, I was still mad at it after all these years. It's a neat watch. I love that watch in some ways, but I was so mad at the company that when I had a chance to trade it, I did. I gave away a ton of gold. Back, I think when it was made, it was from 2001, and the gold price was like $200 an ounce, and now it's up to $1,500 an ounce. I probably should have melted it down and taken it to a pawn shop. Okay, Classima. Tell me, what is the Classima? You mentioned is that one of the models? I'm a huge fan of Richemont brand. Okay, JLC vest. Yeah, but it is very hard to accept their brands hiding ETA and passing in-house when they're not. Yeah. See, I think, and that's something, I think this is what they're up to at Richemont. I think that the movements that they're making from Val Fleurier, now the first one went into what they call the Balmatic, which was a Baume and Mercier, but that may have been actually developed at Cartier. I'm not sure. I'm sort of guessing. And okay, the Baume called Baume and Mercier Classima. So what they may be doing is that ETA, I think, made a big mistake a few years ago when they said, okay, they're going to start cutting back on the ETAs they're making available. And the best thing that, to me, that was a good thing for us collectors, because it's forcing a lot of these other companies to start making their own movements and doing some interesting things with it. Anyhow, hi, Marty. I have 1,000 to spend each year on watches. Of the brands you're talking about, what would be my first purchase for around 1,000? If you could find a Christopher Ward for around that, that's what I'd go for. And then you'll know what you're getting. I've got some strange taste, so I go more for non-sporty, but Hamilton ETA base. There you go. That's a good one too. Mustafa. Hi, Mustafa. Yeah, we're just about ready to wrap up. I was wondering where you went. I was just having a nosy at Vacheron, trying to see what they say about using Lemania 2310 as basis for movement. Doesn't look like they say anything. Lemania is before they were taken over by ETA, at least they were quite good. They made the movement for the Moonwatch, so I've got some respect for Lemania. Oris is another good one. I agree. I like that. I like Oris too. Okay, Deacon. Marty, save up your money and buy a good watch. Easier said than done. I have a Baume and Mercier Classima. Now, wait a minute. Do I have one? No. This is another brand that has had some funny naming things. And this is Lacroix, Maurice Lacroix. And the one I got, though, I bought it for the movement. I could care less if it's a Lacroix or anything else. But it turned out that also Baume and Mercier also had the Jacquet 736, which I call my outlaw movement because the guy who made it went to jail. Okay, what do you think of Breguet? Ooh, Breguet. Yes, there's a Breguet that I saw that I really want to get. I don't know that much about Breguet. The one that I know about I really like. Now, some people have, I saw somebody quip, and people say these really dumb things because a little bit of knowledge is dangerous. They know they're owned by Swatch. Okay. So they think everything is in a Breguet is Swatch. That's not true by a long shot. So um, the the thing about Breguet is the one that I like, I know something about, and they what they tried to do is that they tried to take something from Abraham Breguet that looked like one of his and make it. Now, I don't know a lot of people who like that style, but I do. And that's fine with me. Clyde Lacroix, Maurice Lacroix was, yeah, I'd refer to them. Oh, they're I like them. Here's the thing with Maurice Lacroix. I'm trying to think whether they decided to tell the truth about their movements. Once they started making their own in-house movements, I think they loosened up on that. Okay, nothing wrong with being poor. It's ignorance that sucks. There you go, Marty. being, how about being dumb and poor? I think that a lot of us are because we spend our money on watches, and that'll make us poor. Okay, hey Redskins, if Eterna built the ETA as look, this is the thing is that some of the best movements out there were designed by like Valjoux. They make I have a Valjoux, I think it's an 82 or an 84 that Beauvais put together with a Mono Rattrapante back in 1940. That's one of my favorite watches. But then when they all collapsed and they were all bought up by Swatch, different things happened. Hey, Porsche Maven. Um, Hi, Caliber 3135. I tried on a Breguet Classic at my AD last year. Absolutely beautiful watch. Yeah. This one I think is called a Tradition, the one I like. I'm not sure. Okay, now you guys no fighting. Don't say bad things about each other, okay? we're in a place without a problem. Hey, JD, guys, listen, I've got to go. I got to run some errands, but I want to thank you all for coming. And like I mentioned, I put all of those the movement interpretations for IWC on High Horology Lounge if you want to take a look at it. Hope to see you next week. Oh, tomorrow. Yeah, we have another collection review tomorrow, Sunday. I think you might like it. Take care.